Hi, I'm Dharmendra Rai. I'm Mumbai's first mind map trainer. I'm extremely thrilled to be interviewing Miss Cathy O'Dowd. Cathy is the first lady in the world to have summited Mount Everest from both sides. So it's a world record of sorts. So thank you very much for speaking to me, Cathy.
It's my pleasure.
Could you tell us a little about yourself?
That's a big question. I'm a South African. I've been climbing mountains since I was 18. Started with rock climbing, and then they slowly got higher and harder and colder and further away. I got an opportunity to join the first South African Everest expedition, which turned out to be a fairly controversial expedition. We had some issues with the team. It also turned out we were on Everest in the famous season of 1996, the season about which they made that movie Everest last year. So that was an interesting introduction to truly high altitude mountaineering as well. But it was also an introduction that went on to open a lot of doors. Having successfully reached the top, I then started getting opportunities to raise more sponsorship, to give speeches to corporate clients, to write a book, to travel extensively, and since then I've gone on to do many other mountains. I've moved to Europe. I now live in a tiny country called Andorra, and to travel the world, which is how I ended up in India.
Right. Talking more about the movie, I have seen the movie. I have seen the first version of the movie as well. I have also browsed through John Krakau's book, Into Thin Air, and it always just made me very curious as to how could two veteran climbers like Rob Hall and Scott Fisher, who actually died in 1996 or 97 when they were leading a team of people to Everest, how could these guys with so much experience, with so much wisdom, die on those trips?
Well, I think I would say two things. The one is that it is ultimately a deeply unpredictable environment. When people are asked what they think the most terrifying thing they might ever face in their lifetime is, they will probably say a terrorist attack. They're wrong. It will be a natural disaster. It will be tsunami or storm or cyclone or something. We badly underestimate how powerful nature is and how little we can do when it really goes wrong. As to the specific circumstances, just to generalize, I think a lot of very small mistakes were made. And I don't think that that's particularly a huge negative against them. We're human. It is almost impossible to make no mistakes. They were unlucky in that particular set of mistakes with those particular weather conditions. It was a perfect storm in terms of things going wrong. Nevertheless, there's no doubt that the biggest risk experienced climbers face is complacency. It's overconfidence. We don't have statistics in what we do, but I've heard some apparently for airline pilots. Most dangerous, the first 200 hours flying alone. After that, once you pass 1,000 hours. Once you're so good, you're just doing it automatically. The same thing can happen to climbers. Overconfidence, complacency, beginning to feel that you're so good, you're so experienced that you can shortcut safety procedures. And I think that may have played a part.
Right. Now that you've climbed Everest twice, how do you avoid life going downhill from here? What's the next high? What's the next dopamine fix?
That's not how it works. This is not a sort of dopamine rush. We spend weeks climbing mountains. You're not doing it because you're looking for an adrenaline rush. And Everest is not, it's the highest in the world, and obviously that's interesting. But there are so many other mountains which are more beautiful, they're more challenging, they're less traveled. I climb mountains. I've done it for 30 years, and occasionally they're 8,000 meter peaks, and most of the time they're mountains in my backyard or neighboring countries. I'm interested in the journey. I'm interested in the challenge of managing the risk and solving the puzzle of how to travel safely through these wild, remote, unpredictable environments, deeply beautiful environments, and find a way to hopefully do the goal, as in the summit, and achieve the bigger goal, which is always coming home alive.
Right.
And then take the experience learned. Success or failure, you still learn just by participating, and then move on to something else.
Well, another question which has always been on my mind is, why would anybody do something as life-threatening as climbing Mount Everest? If someone just wants the thrill of achievement, he could do something else, like coming first in an Olympic race, and if he wants to prove that he's or she's a superior species, why do something which is playing with your life?
I've got bad news for you. You're going to die. So am I. So is everybody else.
Yeah, but longevity is important.
Yeah. Yes, until you get hit by a bus or die of cancer young. You don't know. You simply have no idea how long your life is going to be. And your challenge, my challenge, is to make as much as we can of the potential we have with each new day that dawns for us. So, I don't climb mountains to prove something to other people. This is not about claiming to be superior or conquering anything. I'm interested in the process. I'm interested in what I learn by taking part in the journey of the expedition. And I've learned so much about myself, about teams, about challenge, not just from the successes, from the failures too. Failing at things is an interesting experience. There's a great deal to be learned out of that. And I've found myself enriched as a person. I've found deeply heartfelt friendships out of these shared experiences. My life is better for having climbed mountains. My attitude to business, my confidence in every aspect is better because of the challenges I've succeeded on in mountains. So for me, yes, there's risk involved, but it's worth it.
Right. Could you tell us a little more about your India visit, and specifically and generally about your work as a speaker?
This is my first visit to India. I've been here for all of 4 days, and it is overwhelming in all the best ways. It's kind of what I expected it to be, which is busy and bustling and vibrant and pushy, and business gets done and wild ideas turn out of from nothing into a project into the space of about 24 hours. You're trying to catch up.
Right.
So in all those ways, it's a great country. I've wanted to visit for a long time, and I wanted to do two things. I wanted a chance to try and share some of my stories in the Indian market and see whether that would resonate, and it seems to be. It's going pretty well so far. I also wanted to come and climb in India, and I hope that's going to happen in 2018. And this is also the beginning of some exploration into facing the project of putting together and raising sponsorship for big climbing expeditions, because it's a climb, but it's also frankly a business project.
Right.
The stories, I mean, as you can tell from some of my answers, I like thinking about this stuff, why we do it, what's the point, what do we learn? And I like sharing those ideas. And I think climbing works really well as a metaphor for corporate leadership and corporate team building. Because mountains are effectively just project management. It's just a slightly odd project. It's kind of simplified and exaggerated. You know, it's high risk, high stress, big egos, big goals, but it's also reasonably simple. Short timeline, obvious goal, you know, small teams. So the key issues are both simplified and exaggerated, and that makes them quite easy to see. So you can take a mountain climbing team and say, let's talk about what the real risks are. Let's talk about how people actually create their own disaster, and whether it's Rob Hall and Scott Fisher, or the South African team falling apart, or whatever it is. The biggest problem is not the storm, the biggest problem is us. let's talk about why that happens, and then what a really good leader or, high-performing team member can do to make their team better in this very difficult environment. That's where the message, the crossover lies with corporate teams. And that's the kind of insight that I'm interested in thinking about.
Right, wow. That's interesting. So what has your experience been with mind mapping?
Oh, mind mapping's been with us forever. I was taught mind mapping towards the end of high school, and then retaught it when we entered university, and I still use it. If I'm right at the beginning of a project, and all I want to do is an idea dump, and I don't yet know how those ideas are going to be sorted, and I'm just grasping for new possibilities, I will always use mind mapping as a way, because it's that thing about the network of links, the associations that let you start here, and by the time you're done, you've ended up over there. It's like, now that's an interesting idea. It's a little bit like what I just did this afternoon. We're at the Pitch CMO Summit, which is all about branding and authenticity. I'm a mountain climber. Why am I here? Because we have personal brands as climbers. Everest is increasingly a brand. We operate in a world that's all about money and media and sponsorship, and frankly, if you hit the summit, fortune and opportunities and fame to some extent, and people are beginning to fake Everest ascents. We've had photoshopped photographs. I basically mind mapped this presentation I've just done. It's like, brand Everest. How on earth do I get these two to match? And you start doing the spider web of the mind map, and then you go, oh look, they overlap beautifully.
Right, okay, it's fantastic. So what is your advice to Everest wannabes? There are plenty of people out there looking at inspirational figures like you, like Tenzing Norgay, and they're thinking, oh, these guys have done it, they have achieved fame, probably a lot of money, probably a lot of respect, probably a great career as speakers and authors. What they probably fail to realize is that people have limited brains. They have a space in their minds for the first Everest climber, or the first lady in the world to have climbed Everest twice, or to have climbed Everest from both sides. But they don't have the mind space for Everest climber number 15 or Everest climber number 21. So those guys are unlikely to have the kind of careers that you had. So what would be your advice to those wannabes, if you agree with me? And if you don't, then I would love to know your thoughts.
I think the real problem is that people look at someone like me and they see the wrong thing. They see the fact that I'm on this big stage and I've been toured around India and I've spoken in, I think India is my 44th country. I didn't expect any of this. I'm a climber and I went climbing.
Right.
And people look at Tenzing Norgay or Edmund Hillary and they go like, I'm going to do what they did. No, you're not. Because what they did was not join a queue, having paid a commercial guide to tell them what to do and a Sherpa to carry all their kit, and clipped into a safety line along with 500 other climbers to wait their turn for the summit selfie on Everest. Right. What Hillary and Tenzing Norgay actually did was a mountain that no one else had ever done. That's what propelled them to fame. And if you went and found that unclimbed mountain, now you might really have a shot at making a splash in media. Joining in the queue on Everest, I agree with you, it's not going to have a great deal of impact. But what they're missing is that Norgay and Hillary didn't do it for the fame. I didn't do it for the fame. We did it for reasons that were deeply personal, because we loved the activity, and the fame was just a lucky side effect. So what you're much better doing is finding something in life you're truly passionate about, that you are deeply personally committed to, doing it well. And hey, maybe it'll catch fire and you'll become famous, or maybe you won't, but either way you'll still be doing something you're really passionate about.
Right. So you have recently written a book about your experiences with Everest. Could you tell our audience a little bit about that?
Yes, I'm particularly excited about this because it's just been released in India. We've got the book launch happening in a couple of days' time. And I've been to Everest 4 times. If I'd stopped the first time, I'd have a 100% success rate. In fact, I went 4 times, failed twice.
I see.
But each of them was interesting. So the first time success on the south side, the second time attempt on the north, failure, because we got caught up in somebody else's tragedy, an American woman who was dying very high on the mountain, and we tried and failed to save her life. So very sort of emotionally traumatic. Back a third time to the north side, got to the top, and then went back one more time to the east side to try and climb a new route. And yes, anyone who's trying to make their name on Everest, there is at least one unclimbed route on the east side of Everest, waiting to be done. And so this book is the story of those 4 climbs and everything that I learned, because I learned so much that set me up for everything I've done since in life. And I called the book Just for the Love of It. Partly because I was so sick of men writing books, with apologies, but men writing books called The Death Zone, Kill a Mountain, and, this implication that they went and conquered. It's like, we do it because we enjoy it. Can we talk about that? And, you don't conquer Everest. It's like an ant climbing up the refrigerator and claiming they conquered the fridge. Of course they didn't. We tiptoe up it and then try and get out again in one piece. And I wanted to talk about that, why we do it, what it feels like, the real emotional honesty of that experience. And so just brought the book to India, and I'm hoping it will be well received.
Great. So what's the name of the book?
Just for the Love of It.
Now, after having been such a super achiever, do you sometimes wonder that there are role models like you and few others who have achieved a lot, and you are accessible, you're writing books, your videos are available on YouTube, maybe a DVD, movies are being made on climbers, maybe there will be a movie made on you, Warner Brothers, hope you're listening. In spite of that, there are so many people who are losers. They get extremely angry if they're stuck in a traffic jam. Somebody's girlfriend ditches him and he goes into depression. Somebody loses his job, he commits suicide. Don't they get motivated by seeing that somebody like you has conquered such a lot? And compared to that, their miseries are nothing. And doesn't that help them to get more control on their lives?
No. With apologies, that question makes me quite uncomfortable, and there are 2 reasons. The one is that our society gives kudos and rewards and attention to certain kinds of achievement, some of which are profoundly pointless. Climbing a big lump of rock and snow is profoundly pointless. And there are a lot of people achieving things, whether they're, bringing up children in poverty, whether they're surviving cancer, whether they're, working in some grassroots NGO to make other people's lives better. There are a lot of people doing really important work, getting very little recognition. We chase some funny things in our society, and I don't think that it's fair to say that only people who've made media or people who've done good things or lived worthy lives in any sense. The other thing that I'm kind of uncomfortable about is kind of the impression that depression makes you a loser. I know what depression feels like. I know what it feels like to be in bed and think, I actually don't want to get up. This isn't working for me. Life isn't working for me. I've also climbed Everest. The one doesn't negate the other. And I don't subscribe to philosophy that says that people are losers or they should just pull themselves together and be motivated by somebody else having climbed a big lump of rock. Life is much more complicated than that.
I see. Okay, great. Thank you very much. It was a pleasure speaking to you.
Indeed.
I also want to thank Raga de Silva from Speaking Minds and Nicola Fenton from Speaking Minds, Mr. Rahul Shirke, who's a director of photography, and a lady supporting Dimple Desai. And thank you very much for watching.